From the office of the governor, all pleas for clemency are hereby denied. Prepare. 4, 3, 2, 1. Now! Justice has been served.
As a family member of a serial killer, I feel like I can speak to this. Today, Brian's family have broken their silence and shared a statement with the public. I'm actually really surprised that they shared a message. That's rare that a family of a alleged killer would come forward with a statement, but it tells me that the family really has sorrow for the victims. So I'd like to share a message with the mother, the father, and the sister of Brian. My statement is, I'm sorry that you're going through this. I appreciate that you shared your sorrow for the victims, and I acknowledge that you too are a victim, even though you didn't lose your life. I also understand that you're probably being bombarded by the media, and that adds to the confusion of what's going on. I know that your mind is going back to former interactions with Brian, and you're dissecting things that he said, things that he did, and going back and forth from could he be the killer to no, it's not possible. And that is going to be a confusing time for you, and that you're looking forward to having a trial so you can learn for yourself who Brian really is. Is he innocent or is he guilty? I know that a lot of people already have accused him of being guilty, and that for you, that process is going to be a lot longer process. I know that you're probably having a lot of questions yourself and need a lot of time to process everything that's going on. I know that you're probably praying that your son didn't do this. And if he did, what does that mean? And how are you going to reconcile that? That's very scary. I'm sending my thoughts to all the families of the victims that lost their lives, and to the family of Brian.
Tinder date with Idaho suspect Bryan Kohberger gone wrong. Take a look.
When University of Idaho murder suspect Bryan Kohberger was arrested, this woman couldn't believe her eyes.
I was kind of afraid to say no, so I just let him come in with me.
Then he did something she says she'll never forget.
He kept trying to tickle me, and I would ask him to stop, or I'd say, "What are you doing?" And he would be like, I'm not tickling you," and he would get very serious.
Creeped out by Kohberger, she came up with a clever ruse.
I proceeded to pretend to throw up in the bathroom, hoping that, it would gross him out and he would leave.
Did it work?
Yeah. He had messaged me on Tinder and said that he was leaving and that he had a good time and that he would message me later. And then about an hour later, he messaged me and he said that I had good birthing hips. And
I had one or two words to describe Maddie Mae. It would be just an angel, and that she just made me proud.
Ben Mogan speaking about his daughter Madison to ABC News and describing the moment law enforcement told him they'd made an arrest in the case.
And he said, "Ben, this is the day that we've been waiting for."
Ben also describing his emotions while reading the evidence law enforcement say they had gathered against Kohberger.
I broke down, and I just cried. I could only take so much of that, and I cried. I still haven't read the rest of it.
Last night at 4:40 a.m., my husband's and my security system alarm went off. We both sat up in bed and were disoriented, and we just kind of looked at each other for probably 2 seconds before jumping out of bed and I think silently, both of us together, trying to figure out what the next step was.
Plans are useless. Planning is essential. That's Eisenhower. Have you given thought to what you would do if somebody was in your house? The time to think about it's not when it's happening. The scenario is this. You live in a 2-story home. The bedrooms are on the 2nd floor. Keeping it simple, let's say you're a single parent. You hear somebody downstairs, and it's a person for sure. Your first step is to arm yourself. Usually burglars that want stuff come during the day. Ones that come at night want you. In my house, I have what's called a tactical nightstand. Within it is a one-handed opening safe. It fits in the drawer. Within that is my self-defense tool. A tactical flashlight and pepper spray are also nearby. The next step is to get on the phone 911. Leave an open line. The first words out of your mouth should be your address. Be cognizant of being calm. If they can't understand you, that's another obstacle. I'm going to verify my kids are asleep and in their rooms. All the lamps in my house are on digital timers. They operate over Wi-Fi. They're in my Amazon store. My point is I can light the whole house up and never leave my point of defense. Remember how I said the bedrooms are all upstairs? High ground has been a place of advantage since the Stone Age. I also have low-powered night lights all through my house, so I can identify my target, and that's important when you got kids. If I'm armed, I'm not trying to play secret squirrel. I want to be loud. I'm armed. Get out of my house. The police are on their way. Most bad guys want an easy victim, not confrontation. Keeping in mind that increased distance usually means increasing survivability. If you don't or can't carry in your home, pepper spray is an option. Sabre makes a pepper light, flashlight and pepper spray all in one. Wait for the police to get there. Have them knock loudly and announce themselves. At no time do you want to go clearing the house by yourself. Hold your position of advantage until you have to let the cops in. If there's interest in this topic, I'll make a much longer video on YouTube. And I'll try to cover the 4 Ds. Deter, detect, deny, defend. Just let me know what you think in the comments.
Wondering where you are you there? Wishing you could show me your face. I'm calling out love, calling out love. I need somebody who can show me love. You know somebody who can show me love. Hey, please don't let me down this time. I need somebody who can show me love.
When the most notorious outlaw lawman of the Wild West was caught stealing horses, they threw him in jail, but he climbed out through the roof. When he was found living with multiple women of ill repute, he earned himself the nickname the Fighting Pimp. But after tracking down a stolen wagon in Wichita, the gunslinging outlaw became a deputy sheriff. When his brother was made marshal of the tough town of Tombstone, the siblings ran afoul of a local crime syndicate known as the Cochise County Cowboys, culminating in a standoff outside the OK Corral. When the dust settled, he and his brothers and Doc Holliday stood standing, while 3 of the cowboys lay flat on the ground. But a few of the outlaws managed to flee, swearing one day they'd have their vengeance. When his brothers were ambushed by the cowboys and the suspects were acquitted in court, he resolved to take the law in his own hands. Assembling a crack crew of the greatest gunslingers in the Wild West, he mounted his horse and embarked upon a vendetta ride for the ages, individually tracking down and taking out 4 of the men responsible. By the time they were done, a 5th had even turned himself in to the authorities, knowing he was safer in prison. When the group returned to Tombstone, the sheriffs wanted to arrest them, but no one dared stop them, and they rode off to make their riches in California. When you're the wildest man to wear a badge in the Old West, they don't just call you the Outlaw Lawman. They call you Wyatt Earp.